The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. It's a Friday. I'm Chip.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Nisa.
And I'm Carlos.
And we got a full house today here at the show. This is going to be a very interesting show, to say the least.
A lot to cover.
We have a lot to cover and a short time to cover it in. Let's first go over with the floor show, known as the City Council Finance Committee meeting, and then the subsequent vote. You know, it's very interesting because when you watch this meeting, you know, Her Royal Highness, Miss LMP Linda Pereira, was making a motion to table. Ray Mitchell seconded it. And then Joe Camara, who obviously had an agenda, kept saying, oh, there are other people who want to talk. Will you remove that from the floor? And they said, okay, I'll rescind my motion, and I remove my motion from the floor. You know, I always thought that these motions were non-debatable.
Yeah.
But
No, you're right. It's a non-debatable motion. Once the motion's made and seconded, it has to be voted on.
right, and then
Only in our city council do we distort the rules of order like that.
well, it gets better because at the end of the Finance Committee meeting, Linda Pereira again made the motion. So this is the third time this motion is made to table the issue. Ray Mitchell seconded it. And then Joe Camara said, no, this is finance. We don't table it here. You want to move this to the city council meeting, to the general meeting. And she goes, okay, I'll move that we move it to the meeting. Adjourned.
As far as I know, the committee meeting runs under the same rules of order.
They do.
And if they do, a motion to table is in order, and if it wasn't in order, the ruling should have been from the chair that the motion was out of order.
Right.
Not we move it over. It should have been ruled out of order, but it wasn't out of order. You know, look, you know, like if you look at that old movie with Al Pacino and Justice for All, at the end of that movie when he said, "You're out of order, we're all out of order. This place is a mess." That's what the city council is. You know, there's no semblance of order in the city council. They have absolutely no idea of, and I know they operate under Cushing's, which is not quite as restrictive as Atwood's or Roberts. But the fact is that it is still a rule of order. And, you know, these meetings are they're catastrophic. They have non-debatable motions that are debated for an hour, and all it is political rhetoric, and that's the problem. And we'll get to what the end result of this kind of chaos for government ends up with.
You know, the thing is that you had people in the audience who thought they were parliamentarians saying, oh, no, it's the chair's, you know, prerogative to redirect. No, it's not. No, it isn't. And this whole issue is based upon the fact that DOR said you have to come up with a way to meet your shortfalls. They didn't say take it from the free cash account. They didn't say take it from positions that aren't filled. You know, we've known this for years, that they leave positions unfilled and they fund them, so that when it comes time to certifying free cash, they have that extra money. It's your money, it's tax dollars. But you know, I sent out to 48 hours before this meeting on Tuesday, I sent out to them policy from the Washington Policy Center on the differences between taxes and fees. And of course, I had to send them out a lawsuit, one where all of them should have been very familiar with it, because the majority of them were defendants in this lawsuit. And that is Silva v. City of Fall River, which is 02P 166 in the appeals court, in which the city had their quote-unquote fee struck down. But this lawsuit went one step further, not only into striking down the fee, it clarified the definition of a fee and a tax. And they said it very clearly in the decision. And, I found it very interesting when they ignored it as though it didn't exist, that I had to actually have it entered into the record that they had it. And again, this is where we come back to the old story, and Chip, you love this story, of malfeasance, non-feasance, or any feasance whatsoever. But in the third part of the decision, it says the purpose of the fees, the final factor, using Emerson College, which was Boston v. Emerson College. The test is whether the charge is made for the purposes of raising general revenue or for the purposes of covering the cost of governmental services. And, that was the same position that was issued by the Washington Policy Center. And you have to figure out what all of it means. So when we look at it, they actually put in federal case law in this decision. And I highly recommend that anyone watching the show get a copy of it. We have made it available. But the first consideration on whether the charge for a particular governmental service which benefits the party paying the fee in a manner not shared by members of the society. That's where you determine, is it a fee or is it a tax? Okay? You cannot use city tax dollars to fund the sanitation fund. You assess a fee that you give the city of Fall River the option to not participate in by hiring your own private vendor. By moving money from the city tax roll side to the sanitation fund, you have in essence created a tax. So we don't have a sanitation fee, we have a sanitation tax, which, if indeed we have a sanitation tax, the city of Fall River again is violating Mass General Law, Chapter 59, subsection 21C. So guess what? You overtaxed us again. Is this something new for you, Chip? I mean, I don't know. How about you, Chip?
No, look, if you're using tax dollars, the enterprise funds are supposed to be self-funding. If you're using tax dollars, you have, in fact, overridden 2.5 without the approval of the community, because they've taxed at a maximum, the allowable under 2.5. Now, if you bring tax money into an area where it's supposed to be a fee, and just for the people who have difficulty, the analogy is, look, a fishing license is a fee, because when you buy a fishing license, you can fish. The guy down the street can't fish. You've got your license, and that's a fee. But when everybody pays a fee, it's a tax. And you can't use tax money to supplement the fee. And their excuse is, well, we're charging it as fee to and we're going to put it in DCM, which is an enterprise fund, and you can opt out. But the fact is that's not accurate, because now when you put in tax dollars, people who have opted out are now contributing to that. So everybody's contributing. So you have, in essence, overridden Proposition 2.5, which makes it illegal. Illegal. Simple. It's a tax. It's a tax.
So this is clearly a violation. They're misleading us in regards to this. So what can the people do, Chip?
Well, obviously, we're filing complaints with DOR as we speak. Over the weekend, we'll be posting a letter, a draft letter that we've been working on, and we're going to give you a heading. We're going to give you and all you have to do is insert your name, and we want you to inundate the Department of Revenue with complaints. We're demanding a public hearing. We've been doing this. We were way ahead of the curve on this one. CJ was complaining about this weeks ago, and we've been bugging DOR. I called DOR. Now we have a whole myriad of other issues too with DOR. Look, bottom line, folks, our tax rate should not be certified. This budget is an absolute fabrication, and they can prove it. What they're doing now is illegal. They're overtaxing us again. And we need to rise up, as we did in the election, and say, send them emails and send them letters and make phone calls and drive them crazy. because we need to force the state to step in, because otherwise the politicians will rubber stamp this tax increase and they'll continue to just misspend our money over taxes with no consequences again. You know, they continue to spend money. We've said it time and time again. They've gotten $62 million more in our budget in the last 5 years. $47 million from taxation, $15 million from the health care. So, and what have they done with it? They've spent it all. We're looking at another deficit. We're averaging over $10 million, over $11 million a year in new revenue coming to the city. How can we say that we're running this city prudently when we've not only, we're blowing 11 million bucks and we're still in a deficit? We need, well, hopefully we've got a new mayor and some new city councilors, and we'll get into another issue that shows we've really got to start making these people pay attention. And you know something? I'm going to use a word that you've never heard in Fall River, right? Get ready. You've heard of Proposition 2.5 overrides? There's a provision for an underride.
So
Great that we segue right into that, because you know the Prop 2.5 does have in the law a provision for an underride, and we can set the tax levy on an underride at any level we want, and we can restrict the city on its increases after that to no more than 1.5% a year. Now, city councils elect, mayor and mayor-elect, understand, I have already been approached. I am researching, and I am getting the information together to start the proposition to have an underride put in place in Fall River. You think your budget's bad now? If we set your tax limit, because obviously you're too stupid to do it yourself. You are too stupid, City Council. You are too stupid, Mayor. And obviously you have John Nunes, who is so obtuse, he doesn't even get his numbers straight in the City Council meeting. They changed 3 times. So if you can't do it, then we'll let the nitwits of Fall River, you know, the freeloaders, the people who can't take $3 out of their pocket for a bag, all right, we'll get them to set the tax rate. And let's see how hard that's going to be for you now.
People need to get involved the way they got involved with their candidates. They were out there supporting them. There were so many people at that debate. These are the same people that need to step in for the better of Fall River. You can't just show up every single time that there's an election just because it's your friend up there. So the more people get involved and the more people educate themselves, the better this city will be off.
Remember one thing, okay? I know CJ getting very passionate there. The freeloaders comments came from the Sutter administration people, because they were complaining that we complain because we don't pay enough. Actually, that's there. But you know, obviously they don't know the income level in this city. But let's put this in perspective here. CJ, I don't know if you've got the list with you, but you researched a list of towns who actually have done an underride. And ironically enough, if you look at those communities, they are very, very affluent and rich communities. You know why? Because the people in these communities that make a lot of money, they're very well educated, and they pay attention to their government. And they've realized, even though they have the money probably to afford some tax increases, they understand a very simple concept. Government is never a solution, it's the problem. You can't give these idiots money, because every single dime that you give them, they will spend and ask you for more until you beat them over the head with this large hammer that says, you are going to have to show me that we have no fat in the budget, that we're not misspending our money, that we're not misappropriating our money. Then you might get some money from me. But until then, we're going to make sure that you're forced, if we have to do it legally with an underride, to tighten the damn belt in this city. We're sick and tired of you just taking the money and running and saying, hey, we need more money because you know what we've gotten for paying 62,000, for blowing 62 million bucks more over the last 5 years. We'll get into this later. We see where Fall River ranks in the 1,200 cities in this that Councilor Mayoza put in the paper. And it's like, why? Why? We are at the, this is a Fall River. They're just realizing, to quote him at the end, I'm segueing. It said, if elected city officials really want to have an impact on Fall River's future, which, by the way, they're supposed to have from the get-go, okay? This study should be thoroughly reviewed and strategies developed so collectively we can begin to make a real difference. Well, people, I hate to tell you this, including you, Mike. We've been going in front of that council not for days, not for months, but for years, telling you just this, that Fall River ended up out of 1,200 cities between 25,000 and 100,000 that were ranked on FOA criterias. And the
1,132.
Well, and another spot it says that's on one of the economic health issues. Economic health, 1,225th out of 1,268. Hey, people, you know what this says? That these people have been asleep at the switch for decades.
Exactly.
And you know what we got for our time telling you this again? For this is like the 3,000th study that said Fall River is a crap hole. You know what? You know what we got? We got called negative. So now call the study group that Wallet Hub's analysts. Call Wallet Hub negative now. Call the federal government negative. Call everybody negative. You know what they are? They're realistic. This shows you what the story is. And guess what? You know, it boggles my mind. That's why I like boxing so much. You know, if you don't keep your hands up, you get punched in the face. After you get punched in the face a few times, you got a choice to make. You'll either put your hands up or you're going to get knocked out. Fall River never puts their hands up. They never do. We got a new council fundamentally, and we got a new mayor. Guess what? Let's make this day one of the new era. I don't care if the city council thoroughly reviews this. It's about damn time that we, the citizens, force them to change the way they do business.
Education and health here, 446 out of 1,200 cities. That should be a big concern for families.
Yeah, and I mean, the overall rating on these, I mean, can you imagine a community like this being 1,200, 1,232? I mean, who did we beat? You know, 25 cities in Appalachia? I mean, I don't even want to see the others, but we were #1 in Massachusetts.
Yes.
I don't mean #1, good #1.
Oh my God.
I mean bad #1.
That's right.
my
We were the worst.
We finally made it to the top.
We may have not. We may have not been the 1,268th worst city in the United States. But we were the worst city in the state of Massachusetts, based on this.
We came out 42 out of 42.
Let's reinstate that CHIP doesn't do these. This research wasn't done by CHIP, so we're not over here being negative. There's other negative people out there.
And this was brought out by city councilor, and as of Monday, he assumes he's going to be charter commission president because he deserves it, because this was his baby.
You sure you don't have anything to do with this, Chip?
Yeah, really.
Well, my hope is that Chip has the list upside down.
No, he doesn't. We all can wish. But let's digress now into another area. Incentives lead drug manufacturer to choose North Carolina over Fall River. Another great loss for the Fall River Office of Economic Destruction and the city of Fall River. This is what we talk about, okay? We can't even get a drug company to cater to their clientele.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you know, it was, look.
Because North Carolina decided we're going to get them down here from Fall River because we're going to offer them things like public safety, like tax incentives, like a right-to-work state. And it all went down to North Carolina, so Fall River, again, didn't get it. Plus, Fall River destroyed their biopark with the Amazon deal. So you people in Fall River said, Amazon's going to be a great deal. Guess what? Job's gone.
I can guarantee you, you know, that's the thing. And I'm glad, Nisa, you mentioned that, but every time we do state a statistic or a study, even though people like to believe that we make this stuff up, and that's what their pretense is, because Fall River's always great, we always cite it. Like when I was saying about the per capita income, I said it was from the United States Census Bureau or wherever it's from. We always cite these things. These are not our numbers, but you know, they try to ignore them. But one thing correlates with the other. Look, if you were a company and you're looking to locate, and by the way, I have to give the Office of Economic Disaster, they're cool though. It says here that they gave it, Kenny Fiola gave it a code name.
That's right.
Oh, a code name. That gets me all tingly when they say that. Code name, Project Diamond. You know, I guess it's now become code name in the toilet. So they've changed it.
We're digging for diamonds that we never found.
But let's face it, if you were a company and you were going to build a factory and you were going to bring your people, I'm sure you're going to hire people from the area, but you're going to bring your upper echelon management from whatever, your home. What are you going to look at when people are going to move to the area? Look at the city it's in. Now you look at Fall River with code name Diamond and you go, that's not a diamond. That's a pile of manure. They go, this city just got ranked 232nd out of 1,200 cities, right? And they go, so what are we going to get? We're going to get TIFs, and we're going to have problems getting a workforce because they have to pass this. So they go to a North Carolina town, and I will guarantee you, we'll look up the city. The next show, we'll tell you where this city ranks, and I bet you it ranks higher than Fall River. You know, and this is what we say, the absolute insanity of the way we run this city. It's like we've got this Office of Economic Destruction trying to always tell us how they're code names and buzzwords and oh, we're going to get something good came out of this. We were in the running. Yeah, like we were in the running for the casino, we're in the running. We don't get anything, basically, because they won't face the facts. That when people move into a community, they look at the community. What's the first thing, like they say, why aren't people moving into Fall River? What's the first thing the average person, and statistically, looks at when they move into a community? The educational system,
yes.
Exactly. And ours is in the toilet. I don't care how many people call WSAR and tout Meg Mayo-Brown. This city is a disaster, and they manipulate numbers. We don't manipulate the numbers. We have a thing from the state that says we have not met any of the targets.
And they use misleading words.
Yeah, exactly. And they manipulate because we know how they get statistics, because statistically they move children out and they close schools. How do you get rid of a level 4 school? Well, we close it, then it doesn't exist anymore.
And we bring it back in a year under a new name.
Bring it back under a year so we get more money. So look, the reality is, what is the moral to this story? This story, which for the 12th millionth time confirms one thing, that Fall River has a lot of problems. And before you go calling us negative, we're still living here. And we're still trying to fix this place.
And educate the public.
So we didn't cut and run like a lot of people did. We're here. So we're not negative. We're trying to move this city in the right direction for a change. And the politicians continue to tell everybody how nice it is. And it's nice, even though now he's a lame duck politician, but he put it in writing. But you know, we can get you we can get a stack that we'll need the Dewey Decimal System. We've got an expert on that. So we'll need to categorize them. You know, there have been so many studies that have said this and reiterated this fact that, you know, it's time to get the head out of your derriere and start doing some business.
And you know, we're looking at things that you know, Kenny Fiola's wife is touting today that the Undersecretary from Housing and Urban Development is going to be down at Commonwealth Landing touting the $1.9 million in tax credits, which means it comes out of the taxpayer pocket. They don't got to pay taxes for market rate housing, which a federal and state report show market rate housing will not work in Fall River. And they say, oh, well, we need this to entice people to move to Fall River because the quality of our housing stock is got to be improved. Hey, Rep. Viola, thanks for saying that we all own crap holes. Okay, let's be real. That's what she said. She said that the quality of housing stock has to be improved. So you, the people of Fall River who own properties, isn't it nice to know that State Representative Viola believes that your housing sucks? Because that's basically what she said, because they have to invest $1.9 million in a mill to create market rate housing, which I firmly believe is going to become the Point Gloria version 2.0 that we experienced back in the 80s.
And let's take a closer look at who owns the mill and the fact that what do we need in Fall River? We don't need more low-income housing. As a matter of fact, there's a direct correlation between the economy improving and the reduction of this type of housing. So the fact is we've got enough. If anything, we should be reducing it. But this is again, and you brought that point up. This is again the double speak. The problem in Fall River is for every time we try to tell you and show you a fact, not ask you to believe us, but believe facts, they will give you 2 days of propaganda at a city council meeting about how wonderful Fall River is, and this is all baloney, and I don't understand why they're doing this, and they'll probably refute this study. And they'll refute that. They refute the United States Census Bureau, they refute everybody. Yet, now City Council-elect and former appointee to the City Council, Steve Long, read the same statistics that we've had for years in front of the City Council about the income level. So, this is the facts. These are the facts, folks. And, we're not being negative. We're just being accurate. We didn't, I don't work for Wallet Hub. Maybe, and the fact is that, we have the rather dubious distinction of, again, being in the basement of everything that's positive and being at the top of everything that's negative. And the only people that can change it is you and me and everybody here that lives in the city of Fall River, because it's time to realize what I said. I don't trust any politician to do the right thing. The only way they do it is when we make them do it, and we make them do it by making them understand that we will change mayors, city council, and every single election from now till doomsday until we begin to face the fact that this city needs to move in a different direction.
That's correct.
And it's very interesting because, again, like you said, Mayo-Brown has an opportunity to leave us for Barnstable. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night.
Well, I won't sing because I can't sing.
But it's just amazing that it's just amazing that people are now coming to her defense, when the majority of people in Fall River want her gone. But the Chamber of Commerce wants to keep her. The business community wants to keep her. Yeah, I don't understand why. She really hasn't had many successes, because when the state turns around and says you haven't met any targets, it's pretty clear. But one last thing, because we're going to be going off the air shortly, in full disclosure, Joe Macy was served today with a copy of the complaint to DOR, and Mr. McNunnally, who is the commissioner for the Department of Revenue, was also served with the complaint saying it was illegal. So it is what it is. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you spending time with us, and I appreciate you inviting us into your home every time we're on the air.
And don't be negative.
We're not being negative. We're just being honest.
Exactly.
Be angry, not negative.
That's it. Please continue to watch us. We'll see you on Monday.